Was a big win this weekend for the Skyhawks, defeating Houston Christian 66-7. Coach, a very fun one this past weekend, over 700 total yards of offense, and your defense holding the Huskies to less than 220. A very impressive performance. How'd you feel it went?
Obviously very well. Very well. It was – here's what's satisfying about those games when you you give the players a directive and, okay, this is things we've got to improve on. And those are Monday through Friday things. And then you got to play well on Saturday. And they did all those things. So very, very proud of that. And learned some lessons from the week before. Obviously not as quality opponent, but your mind still has to be in the right place, and then you still have to do it. And a couple examples of those are handling success. We started well again, and we handled that success and kept scoring in the first half. Then we got to halftime and talked about again, learn our lesson from the week before. The details and energy and execution that needs to take place early in the third quarter to grab back the momentum and not let them back in the game, and return to kickoff for a touchdown. So those things happened. And then another thing I was pleased with is that a lot of the younger players had an opportunity to play in the game a lot of minutes, the whole fourth quarter and probably 3/4 of the third quarter. And it wasn't there was some good execution. We were able to get stops on defense. We were able to move the football on offense. We got our backup quarterback some reps and got him some throws. So a lot of positive came out of that game besides just the win.
And then 6 different receivers get a touchdown, and your quarterback, Kincaid Den, in the game, 6 total touchdowns for him, and by far his best game. And he really found a rhythm, especially, Coach, when you all went hurry up. What'd you like from him?
Well, I mean, obviously, you take the Georgia game out of it, okay?
Right.
So he's had a sample size of 2 games. And then even the Missouri State game, it was such a running game. But he knew he could play better coming off the Missouri State game, and we felt like he could as well. So, I thought as a staff we had a lot of good things for him. And, the big thing, too, that helped us this week versus those zone coverages were – we had pretty good spacing, but the guys also, there was a lot of run after the catch. Okay, and that's always a quarterback's good friend, and Tank and of course Rucker, doing something on short passes and making guys miss and running through arm tackles. That's really can get a quarterback going. So that was good to see.
And you're blocking too, not just up front with the offensive line, but the receivers. I've been really impressed seeing them block as well.
We've improved. We certainly have, and those guys are fighting for. We're developing depth. Feel good about our 2 deep at that position, and so you want to stay in the game, you got to block. And so you think about it, if there's 70, if you're getting 70 snaps offensively in a game. Okay, and you're throwing the ball 35 times, right? There's a lot more plays that come that you've got to, what kind of football player are you? How do you help the team? So those guys, that's a measuring stick as well.
Depth so important. He mentioned the receivers, even the guys running the ball. Where is this team from a depth standpoint right now, and how important is it for your success this season?
At some positions, we like our depth. At some positions, not so much. Okay, and and that's probably everybody. Okay, you always wish you had more, but our tight ends. We're pleased with some depth that we're growing with there. At the running back position, we're getting more experienced depth there. Offensive line, we need some more guys to come along. So, you're not. We played 5 guys against Missouri State. Okay, so we need to get to where we can play 7 and 8, but the wide receiver is one of the more deeper positions that we have on offense.
And on defense, flipping it over to them, forced 4 turnovers in the game. Dot gets a fumble recovery, O'Shea with a pick, Lamorion with a pick, and then Vincent Guy snags one down as well. And I think one of the big things, Coach, that I saw was being able to get those turnovers and turn them into 6 points. How did you feel that your offense capitalized off of that momentum brought in by the defense?
Well, one, I'll just talk about the turnovers. I mean, being able to get the 4 turnovers, and a couple of them were outstanding plays. Lamarion Pierce is a young DB for us that that was an outstanding play, and O'Shea's was outstanding, and so to get those 4 turnovers was great. There's not scoring after turnovers is more of a mindset than it is, a perfect play call, right? Traditionally, do you take a shot? Do you run it? What do you do? It's that part changes week to week. But the bottom line is, this is a game, and part of this game is, there's momentum changes that go throughout a football game. And so when opponent's offense turns it over and you're able to turn those into points, 7 points is most importantly. That's a big momentum swing throughout the game. So those are things hopefully we continue to do.
But even if you take points potentially away from them, a turnover can take 7 points away from them, give you 7 points. That's a 14-point turnaround.
No, you're right. You do the what ifs and the different maths of that. Just like if you're able to hold a team after a turnover in your side of the field to a field goal, it kind of feels like a little sigh of relief. Mm-hmm. Hey, that you're still in the game and stuff. So this game has got a lot of different unwritten rules, and that's one of them, being able to score, convert turnovers into points.
And special teams as well, clicking for your team, offense, defense, all three facets of the game going well. And how exciting is that for you week 3, and as you head into a road game, as you try to get that momentum, how exciting is that for you to see that?
Well, that's like we're still finding ourselves, okay? That's fortunately, we got one more non-conference game before we get into conference season. There's some things that we talked about that we felt like we've done well up to this point, and there's some things we haven't done so well. One, our kicker, Aiden, right? I think the guys told me yesterday, I don't know, he's like over 50% of touchbacks on kickoffs, which is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And, so that's, we've scored relatively a lot of points in the last 2 weeks, okay? So there's a lot of kickoffs, all right? But to be able to put it in the end zone, that's big for us. He's been flipping the field on punts. I think he's 45-yard average, so that's been good for us. It's good to see us. I could have gone for it the other night, but I wanted him to make a field goal, and get that confidence. So, we're doing some solid things in the kicking game. We'll get certainly tested, as we'll talk about North Alabama here, I'm sure soon. But putting some passing yards up on the board this week to give us some more balance. I mean, that's something that that we knew we certainly needed.
So we're ready to preview North Alabama. Starting off with the Lions, beat Tennessee Tech, so a familiar opponent for you all. They beat them in Cookeville 20-7, 2-2 as they enter this weekend. And after such a dominating win for you, Coach, this past Saturday, how do you look to get the team refocused on this week for the opponent in front of you?
Well, there's a couple changes. One, you go on the road again after being back-to-back home games, and we're traveling the day up. So that's a little different for us. We hadn't done that in a long time, except we used to do that going over to Murray and I guess Austin Peay. But this is a little bit longer trip, so we'll have to adjust to that. But when you turn the tape on, this is a team that's 2-2, but lost the first game against a quality opponent, Mercer, 17-7. And that's probably a game they look back and say, hey, first game, new coach. There's a lot of things that I'm sure they were pleased with how they played, and they knew they had a chance to win the game. They go to Tarleton State, who's a team that's trying to get to the make the conversion into FBS. They're, really put some money and some things into their program, and they have a 28-7 lead. And then it goes to halftime 28-17, and then they end up getting beat pretty handily in the second half. But you got a 28-7 lead, you got to think you got a pretty good chance. So I'm sure they're looking at that, saying, hey, we had an opportunity to be 4-0 at this point, and then they go on the road to play Tennessee Tech, and 20-7, kind of in a rainstorm a little bit. But the big win was at home. They beat Chattanooga. Okay, who we know their quality opponent as well. So very dangerous football team, very good team, coached well. I mean, they challenge you on their defense. Will challenge us, to throw the ball. They will say, okay, press their corners up and play tight coverage and try to load the box up. On offense, they play with a lot of tempo and run their quarterback, so that makes the game 11-on-11. That causes you a lot of problems. So it's got to be a great week of practice and preparation.
You're scouting a game and you get to watch game film from your opponent. Would you rather see them in a game that they lost, a game that they won, or just a really close game? Do you get more out of those scenarios?
Probably, yeah, I would rather see people score a lot of points against them as the offense coordinator, right? I mean, it makes me feel a lot better. But I don't know if I really ever thought about it. You just break it down and say, okay, what do they do? You like to see some tape of some carryover by formations, okay, or schemes, or the more things that you can see that you do well, all right, that usually helps me.
So they're watching your game where you scored a lot of points this last Saturday.
Right.
Are they getting more from that than they would have?
At some point you probably turn it off and you say, hey, they got their backups in.
Yeah.
Let's don't even break down the second half. Let's just break down, the first quarter and the second quarter, because that's how they attack this game. And if we line up like this, what's their tendencies on down and distance and stuff. So there is a little bit of carryover. I mean, this team we played. Houston Christian was 4 down. North Alabama's a 4 down front. The coverages are a lot different. The aggressiveness of the coverage is a lot different. So a lot of throws that we got the other night won't be there in their coverage. And I mean, they know that. There's no need to draw that route up because they know we're not going to throw that route against their coverages. So, how much new stuff can you put in? How much can be executed and digested by the players to be able to execute at a high level? That's always a balance that you have to come up with. Basically you've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to kind of decide that, okay? And then it's got to get in. And the time you get to Wednesday, you've moved on to third downs and red zone in your practice time. So really, you got kind of Monday and Tuesday for first and second down. So crucial days. It's hard. You can't come in on Monday night and say, after seeing that, I don't really think that works. And I mean, that's what you have to make not happen.
And when you go to these road games, you mentioned you're just going to drive down the day of and go to that game. About a 3-hour drive heading down there to Florence, Alabama. What's your, I guess, philosophy on the ride down? Do you want your guys maybe a little loose the first hour and a half, and then the next hour and a half to get there you want them locked in, or how do you preach to your players on that, on just getting mentally right before the game on a road trip?
Well, once again, this is a little bit longer trip. Normally, I don't know if we've ever my mindset is this: like, if you were with us on a Friday night, it's kind of relaxed dinner, and want the guys excited about playing, and because normally when they're around each other at the facilities, right, it's meetings, it's weights, it's practice, and and there's a certain attention to detail that has to come with that and focus. But no, my mindset is on game days, whether it's a 5-minute trip or a 3-hour trip, right? It's don't have your music up too loud where we all got to listen to it. You only get 4 quarters. You're only going to have so many snaps. We kind of have a philosophy that, like, when we finish practice on Thursday, right or wrong, I start preaching, okay, we want to prepare differently. There's still time. Even though there's no more physical time, there's still time to mentally get one more stop on defense and get one more first down on offense as as the kids are looking at their tips and reminders and looking at their tests and watching more tape and stuff. So you want that mindset, I do, to carry over onto that trip to the game on Saturday.
And the noise is going to be a little bit different as compared to that first road game. The capacity for North Alabama is a little bit over 14,000 fans. Georgia, they had over 92,000 on hand for week 1. So a more normal road atmosphere for you all this week. But again, still a lot of newness there on offense. How do you handle these type of environments, and what makes them different from the field level compared to the Georgias and the Tennessees?
The Georgia and Tennessee stuff, the Knoxville stuff, that kind of takes care of itself. Okay, that's kind of specific, different. These. First I believe they had 9,000 at their Chattanooga game, so that's a good crowd. I mean, that's probably triple, what we're drawing. So, so to be good, that's a good atmosphere for our players. They've got an older stadium there that's bigger that used to play the Division II national championships in. So anytime you go on the road, we kind of adopt a road warrior mentality. Our mindset is we're already down 7 points, because they got to sleep in their bed. They're in their own locker room. There's more comfort there. That's the mindset that I try to preach to the players, and hopefully that you are more more focused and ready to go because you know that you're already down 7 points in your mind before the game starts. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, we want to congratulate you and Miss Simpson. Tie coming into the game for Alabama, and they get the win against South Florida, and also gets a rushing touchdown in that game. So congratulations to you all. Know you all were very proud about that.
Well, I appreciate it. He's worked hard to get an opportunity to, get in the game when they're down 3-0, and to be a part of a win. So it was a good day. Skyhawks won big, and Ty got to help his team in a win. So it was a good day.